whatever this is. I'll get my own drink in Valhalla.
Those were advanced
I'll be adding that takedown to my highlight. Hold them off for me.
Alright, what's going on, guys? Today we're back, and today I don't have a flak build for you. I have a new Amara build that I've been working on, and a lot of you guys have probably seen this build in particular just because it's kind of standard purple tree melee Amara build, but it's not as complicated as a lot of people are making it out to be. I say that like this build I built up as soon as I beat Tyrene. Actually a little bit before. So I'd say like a level 30, I got the DLC and I went into purple tree. And I used the purple tree, then the red tree, actually then the green tree, and then red tree, because at the time I didn't have the Muse class mod, but these are the three weapons I used. I used a level 25, 26 Psycho Stabber, non-anointed. I used a level 45 Face Puncher with, I think it was the consecutive hits anointment. It was level 45, it wasn't redundant. And I carried that all the way through Mayhem 10, all the way to level 65. No problem. I think I refarmed a new one at level 57, 58. But otherwise, this is all that I used. I was using a level 20 Brawler Ward, non-anointed. I've just been upgrading my grenades along the way. And I still have the same one, level 27 Unleash the Dragon. That's what I used. All the way up to level 65. This build is so easy to use. I would probably recommend it to most people beginning the game, simply because you don't have to worry about making sure your loot is on level or in correct anointments or anything like that. You can just run and melee and shoot whatever you need to get out of your way. So quickly to start, I'm just going to go over the weapons because we don't have much here. Just Psycho Stabber. The anointment really doesn't matter. If you can get 300 over 90, that's the best, but this one will work just fine. This is my 390 Face Puncher. For most basic mobs, you'll one-shot them. And then my redundant consecutive hits one is for bossing, because you're not going to one-shot them most of the time anyways. So this can help you stack damage over time really well. Brawler Ward, ASC, Shock, it really doesn't matter the anointment. Probably ASC melee damage would be better, but I'm just working with what I got here. Any grenades that I switch through anointments, just depending on what element I want to use. The Muse Com. Okay. Okay, so I use the Muse Com. If you don't have DLC, use the Breaker Com and try and get +1 in Finder Center, because then you'll have 200% melee damage, and I think that's the only thing that increases, not your melee range. But I like the Muse Com. because I prefer this skill here, the Illuminated Fist, because it's 150% melee damage, but it's also elemental damage on top of that, so it has better scaling and does better damage than Find Your Center. And the Musecom, its ability is better, because I believe the Breaker Com, you get increased damage reduction. This one, you release a melee damage ball, and it does a lot of damage. The thing that sucks about it is, as far as I know, it doesn't scale with any skills very well. It just is its own damage type. It's like an amp damage ball is the best way to explain it. Because amp shields, you can't change the amp damage on. You can't change it on this. It's just dependent on the melee attack damage that you do, if that makes sense. But it does a lot of damage, so that's why I prefer the Musecom. And I'm using an Icebreaker Commander Planetoid just because if I'm not using fire, I was using fire for a boss like Grave Ward, you're not going to benefit from using cryo, but most of the time that you're running around, you're going to be using cryo. So using an Icebreaker Commander Planetoid is awesome because 82% bonus elemental damage whenever you melee, and 45% additional damage against frozen enemies. And with Illuminated Fist, where your melees do your elemental damage, I believe, yeah. And which other one is it? Or maybe that's it. Yeah, that's the only thing that does it. But that freezes enemies, so you'll be doing additional damage that way. Otherwise, I have an Icebreaker White Elephant, Knife Drain, just in case I'm going up against something more difficult and I need a heal. Or you can just switch off to this and heal, either way. Snowdrift Victory Rush, Speed, Cut Purse Auto Idle, just in case you ever run out of ammo. More than likely that's not going to happen, but it's here. And an Unleash the Dragon. It's a low level one, so it doesn't really have very good passives, but it's what I got. I don't really use this anymore, but against fire enemies, or enemies that take better fire damage but can't be frozen, I'd put this on. So Grave Ward, yeah, I'd probably throw this one on too. So that's the entire build. Honestly, right here is all that you need. This right here. And if not this, then a Rope-a-Dope Breaker. I believe that's the one that has the Find Your Center skill on it. This is all you need. All this extra stuff is optional. But moving on to the skill tree, we're going into the purple tree first. So we're using the basic Phase Flare because every time you melee it, your melee damage adds on to the ball's damage. So without the 398 with the Psycho Stabber, you can melee it twice without it exploding, and then you just run away and hit your action skill button and it'll follow you and destroy everything in its path. Because if you melee it a third time, then it's going to break on impact, so you don't want to do it a third time. But we also are using Cold Hearted to freeze enemies and Expedite for cooldown rate, so we can get this out all the time. But for skills, 5 points in No Mistakes in Nature, because anytime we freeze an enemy, 65% melee damage, which is really nice. Heavy Rain, bonus splash damage. Purple Tree makes it so that your melees do splash damage, so extra 35% on that splash damage is really nice. I only have one in Ebb and Flow just because on Mayhem 10, the enemies have so much health and you do so much damage. After one kill, the lifesteal, your health will be back to full. So I only put 1 point in there. And 3 points in Go With The Flow, simply because the bonus movement speed and weapon, mostly the movement speed. You're not going to get any gun damage bonuses because the Face Puncher doesn't get weapon gun bonuses. But 9% movement speed for 16 seconds is nice. I don't have anything in Unweave the Rainbow simply for the fact that you're not going to, not every single enemy is going to be frozen that you're going to hit. So it's really, for 33% bonus damage on some enemies that are frozen, it's not really worth it to me. 1 point in Combo Breaker for the reset chance. Just because action skill cooldown goes, just pretty much get back to our action skills, what I'm trying to say. 5 points in Burn Both Ends, simply because bigger increased damage and increased damage reduction, I believe. No, just increased damage. Yep, just increased damage. So 5%, 15 stacks. That's 60% extra damage. Now, you can't see these stacks. You just kind of have to know if you have them or not. 1 point in Free the Soul. Kill a frozen enemy, and ice spikes will come out and damage the right enemies. This gets Mayhem scaling, so it does a shit ton of damage. Body and Mind. This is the skill that makes your melee attacks also do splash damage, which also gets Mayhem scaling, so that's really nice. And then I have 1 point in Joyful Freedom, so we can move on to the capstone, because this is an alright skill, but it's not going to be up all the time, so I'd rather have 5 points in Burn Both Ends over Joyful Freedom. And then 1 point in Clear the Mind. After killing an enemy, Amara ignores enemies' elemental damage resistances. Against bosses, this isn't that good unless you wait for Captain Trant, I believe. Captain Trant or General Trant, either or, to spawn in enemies. You can kill them, and then you can freeze them, I believe. I know you can freeze Wotan, so Wotan, whatever. That's what I use this on, because you can freeze him, and I think that's the coolest thing ever. I never knew that he was even coded to be able to be frozen, so that's really helpful against that fight. Nothing in Blue Tree, nothing really helpful. 3 points here from the Musecom, which, I mean, 25% damage to anyone who's been hit by my Phase Flare. If they're still alive afterwards, why not? 5 points in Infusion, just because now we can freeze enemies. This used to be bugged up until like last week's patch. This was bugged where your cryo ability wouldn't go onto your weapons. It just wouldn't work. But now that that's fixed, the bonus damage and the bonus chance to freeze is really helpful. And then 1 point into Illuminated Fist, just so that way we can get our second point and get up to 150%. I have seen some people's Musecoms have +3 on Illuminated Fist. I don't know if that was a glitch. I don't know if that was pre-patch, but I haven't been able to get one, but I know I've seen some people get it. So maybe you can, maybe you can't. I really don't know for sure, but at least +1 is what you're going to want with this. And this is your standard green tree. More health because of ebb and flow. I don't think clarity is worth it. Personal space doesn't work with face punchers because, again, gun damage doesn't really help. 5 points in arms deal for bonus splash damage and splash damage reduction to ourselves, so that's nice. 1 point in Find Your Center for the bonus damage and bonus range. 5 points in Helping Hands for the damage reduction, especially with Burn Both Ends. You're going to want this damage reduction. 2 points in Vigor just to move down the tree, and bonus movement speed is always nice, and it stacks up to 5 times, so that's 30-some%. 1 with Nature, bonus max health and elemental damage reduction. 5 points in Jab Cross just for bonus action skill damage and gun damage. Well, gun damage doesn't matter, so really the action skill damage, again, Phase Flare, additional 90%, almost doubling it. 1 point in Blitz, bonus melee damage, and bonus range, I get. Yeah, bonus range, because you get the little sprint or lunge animation that helps with it. 1 point Guardian Angel, just for second winds. It's kind of hard to get out of when you get down, so this is nice. And Do Unto Others, Mayhem scaling, Energy Ball, just for getting shot at. Pretty nice. And that's the tree. So I'm just going to run through the beginning of the Guardian takedown. Jeez. Because I'm not doing the whole thing. It takes too damn long. But just to show off this build a little bit, we'll take out these first few enemies. So how I do it to start is once I get some enemies spawned in, throw out my action skill, hit it 2 times. Oh, come on. Come on. Bring it back a little bit. It's too close to enemies. There we go. now we can run around and do this. And if you're flying enemies, one-shot face puncher. Bring this out. Dead. Oh jeez, my aim is bad. Come on. Oh, Revenant, one shot. Like nothing ever happened. Like it wasn't even there. This is stupidly strong. Oh, nothing. Oh, this is consecutive hits. Frozen, dead. Nothing. 390. Oh. Oh. Let's build this back up. I was only after one hit. And it hits 82 million damage with this thing. And this is the bonus speed from Vigor. And do I have my Victory Rush on? No, the Icebreaker Commander. Okay. It's just, this build is so strong, it's insane. Okay, switch over to consecutive hits. Frozen. Oh, dead. I was sitting there like, how didn't he die from that? But he just insta-died. I think I must have went over damage cap because I didn't even see a damage number. Or I'm blind. I'll see it in post-process and when I'm editing, so. Just absolutely nothing stands in our way. And flying enemies, melee build, easy. I mean, yeah, some people wouldn't call this melee build because I am mostly shooting, but just use your action skill then if that bothers you that much. Here, let's get this thing destroyed. Also, it'd be working better if I had my shield was broken, but he's not trying to hit me. I mean, even with Blitz, you can still hit some of these things with your melee. Possibly. Okay. Yep. That was the, that might have been from, oh, which skill is that? I know it wasn't this one. Oh, that must have been a free the soul thing, but since it had such low health and I didn't have any stacks built up, it really wasn't doing much. But yeah, so that's the build. Mobs really well, and I'll have clips in the beginning of me taking down bosses with it. I'll probably put Wotan in, maybe Grave Ward or something. But yeah, so that's the build. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button down below and maybe subscribe because I have more Amara builds coming and at least one more Flak build, and then I think I'll be moving on to Zane and then Mo's last, just because she's my least favorite character so far. So like I said, if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, drop a comment down below on what kind of Amara build you want to see next, and if you really enjoyed and want to see more, then hit subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.